What is the technology behind radar?
Radar basically is a technology that is almost 100 years old. It's from World War II. The problem is that there is corner cases like weather, like long range, like small objects that might look very close in the colors.
I was reading that you do 4D mapping. How many dimensions are there?
My co-founder, Noah Markin, they just finished his PhD in Weizmann Institute, and he did his PhD around autonomous movements of robots, and his master around the signal processing of radar. Most of the time I was military reporter, so I was reporting from suicide attacks like Lebanon at that time.
Welcome to another episode of Israel Tech. I'm excited to have here Kobi Marenko, the CEO and co-founder of Arbe. Before we get into that, if you don't already, help us democratize the Israel Tech ecosystem so we can reach more people and include more people in our tent. Talking about Israeli tech here on New Media. So make sure you like, subscribe, and share with your friends. Give us 5 stars on Spotify and Apple. And of course, sign up for our epic newsletter. Kobi, thanks for being here.
Thank you for inviting.
So I kind of want to talk about what we were talking about right before we were recording, is that what I didn't know, you just said, and I was like, wait, we got to start there. That you were a TV host for Channel 2, the military? The
TV correspondent.
The correspondent.
Yeah.
In the 90s. So what's that like? And it's also hard for people to remember. This is like before the internet.
Yeah, the internet just started. So I remember in 1994-5, early 95, Jacob Aylon and me, Jacob was the anchorman, and me did a series of articles about the internet. And I remember that people were watching it and no one really understood what are we talking about with this internet. You remember it was still dial-up, it was mail plus some websites that had a few links. And we spoke about the e-commerce revolution, that you will buy your tickets to in online and in your computer, and people were looking at us like, what? So it was really but I was most of the time I was military reporter, so I was reporting from scenes like suicide attacks like Lebanon at that time. So it was really tough times. Yeah,
I'm sure. And we find ourselves there now. God willing, soon we'll see better times. I'm sure we will. So one of the things, I guess, let's force this transition in better times. Technology helps bring things forward into better times. So,
exactly.
Yeah, so Arbe, I've been following you guys for a while. I was speaking to Shlomit from your team for a while. What I find interesting is when we were talking before is that you build semiconductors, but you talk about radar. So it's fascinating. Even though you're a semiconductor company, first and foremost, your discussion is radar, which I guess is the solution. Before we kind of talk about the technology in both of them and how you work, what is the technology behind radar?
Before we continue, let me tell you about our partner, Deal. As you know, I'm an entrepreneur. One of the hardest parts of being an entrepreneur is hiring the talent that you need, onboarding them, getting them the equipment that they need, and getting them paid. It's annoying. Compliance is difficult, and there's a lot of different laws in different markets. And most HR platforms, they're difficult to use. Deal is different. It's perfect for founders and startups like me, and grows with you as you scale. Imagine HR, IT, and payroll all in one place, easy to use, and AI native. They take care of compliance, so you can focus on your business. And you'll like using it. Go ahead and see for yourself. Visit our partner at deal.com/IsraelTech. That's DEEL.com/IsraelTech. And now, back to the show.
So radar basically is a technology that is almost 100 years old. It's from World War II. The idea is that you're transmitting a signal, a millimeter wave. We are transmitting millimeter wave. The radar of Aero, for example, is of course transmitting other wave, not a millimeter. We are transmitting the millimeter wave. We are changing the frequency during the transmission. And then the wave hits objects, and there is particles that coming back. We have a receiver that received back the millimeter wave, and based on the time of flight and the frequency and that, it builds a full picture of the environment, almost as good as a camera, but with all of the advantages of radar, that it works in any weather and any lighting condition, because it's not dependent on the sun. millimeter wave can penetrate fog, rain, even snow, and the wave is coming back. Think of it like your mobile phone. It always functions. So this was our vision when we started. Actually, it was my co-founder, Noah Markin. They just finished his PhD in Weizmann Institute, and he did his PhD around autonomous movements of robots and his master around the signal processing of radar. And he came with the idea that a radar is actually the missing link to enable things or robots to drive themselves or to walk fully autonomously. Of course, camera can solve majority of the problem, and 95% of the problem can be solved just by a camera. The problem is that there is corner cases, like weather, like long range, like small objects that might look very close in the colors. And on those corner cases, the only sensor that can give you a 100% reliable answer to the fact if there is a child between those two cars in 120 meters or not, or if there is a cyclist below the bridge in 150 meters when the sun is shining on your car and making your sensor blind, this is the radar. So we had this vision of building this kind of radar, and we actually were looking at the beginning, we thought that we will build just a perception stack on top of the radar, and we thought that it's a solved problem. Let's find chips in the market that can help us transmit, receive, process the data, and all of this stuff. And we found that there's no silicon that can support ultra high resolution radar that we thought that is a must in order to do this kind of a picture.
Why can it support that?
So there is basically, radar has transmitting channels and receiving channels. And the amount of pixels, think of it like this, in the radar is the multiple of the transmitters and the receivers. So radars were used before we started for a very not complicated missions like adaptive cruise control. In adaptive cruise control, it's quite easy. You need to know if there is something in front of you or not. Big car, you don't need resolution. You just need to detect the velocity of the car, and in radar, basically the velocity is something that is measured. It's not calculated like in LiDAR or a camera that you need few frames and then you calculate the velocity. That in radar, the Doppler, think of it as the velocity, is something that is measured, is part of the signal itself.
That means so one quick signal radar can give you immediate information of the object, maybe the size, the direction, the speed it's going. Can it also tell you if it's accelerating or deaccelerating or slowing down?
Yeah, in the second frame, you know if it's
right. Or you'll need to. Okay, to see.
Yeah, you need a difference between the
difference.
Not the distance. You measuring the velocity, the actual velocity.
You know if 0.2, and then
you know if it's driving in 80 kilometers per hour or in 85.
Basic algebra, really.
Yeah.
And then so my question, just thinking as a non-tech, let's say I'm a not technical person, how does it always bounce back that you receive it? I would think like does it not bounce off of a surface like light would?
Basically, of course, some of the energy is not bouncing back,
right?
Because it's just getting out there in the universe. But if there is an object, it's bounced back.
But how do you receive it then? Because can it bounce back all the way over there?
It's some energy going back there, but majority of the energy is going to the back from the central of the mass of the object in front of you. If there is a car in front of you, and the car is 2.5 meters, so majority of the energy will get back to the bore side from the car. There is something that will go on the side. This is, by the way, the problem, because you might see a ghost targets on the side. The reflection of this car on the side of the road, or think of it, if there is a car that is just now passing a truck. So you will get back, of course, the entire mass of the car, but you will get back from the truck. Also, think of it like a mirror. So you will get back also, we call it a ghost target of the car, that the energy will go to the truck and going back to the wrong direction. And this is part of the things that the ultra high definition radar like we are doing, solving. We know to eliminate or to make those ghost targets gone and make the picture of the radar really something that is fully reliable.
Ah, interesting. When a police officer shoots a radar gun, it's just
a speed.
It's the speed. Just know how fast.
They don't care about the resolution. It's just shooting one. It's a point. It's just shooting and getting the speed, and that's it. You don't need to know if there is
if I'm speeding up, slowing down, the size of your thing doesn't matter.
Or if on the side of the road there is a cyclist that stopped and might jump to the road and you will hit them. You don't care about it. It's just
right.
But when you're driving, when the car drives itself, especially on the highway in 110, 120, some in Germany even 130 kilometers per hour.
On Route 6, 160, 180, yeah.
You need to actually detect all of those obstacles to know that there is something there that might cause a danger.
So, asking for a friend, what can you put on your car to prevent the police officer from finding out how fast you're going?
This is not our business.
That's not your business.
Yeah,
okay. Well, if you ever want to open a consulting business.
Probably there is a cybersecurity Israeli company.
I'm sure there's an easier way.
To do it.
Right. All right, we'll look it up later. So your solution is radar, but on semiconductors. How do you find out that there was a problem that there was a potential solution here? Radar couldn't have been built on semiconductors before. What did you introduce to the market, and how did it come about?
As I mentioned, radars exist in cars for more than 20 years. They're basically using it for blind spot detection. So this blip, if there is something nearby you, or for adaptive cruise control. But no one tried to use radar as a perception sensor, as a sensor that can actually build the environment picture. And we had this vision to do that. And of course, we thought it's much less complicated to build it and to get into automotive business. I'm always saying that if 8 years ago, I would know about automotive business and semiconductors in automotive, what I know today, I would definitely go to a much easier industry like pharma. So automotive is very complicated. We went to GM that had at that time R&D center in Israel, and we showed them our vision of high resolution imaging radar. And they said, it sounds amazing, but we heard in your seats there was 50 startups that claimed that they will do that, and no one came back with a product. So we said, okay, it's clear that there is a problem that someone needs. It's clear that no one solved it, and let's do it.
And let's solve it. How confident were you can solve it when you went out to do it?
To be honest, I had no idea because, I'm not the CTO, but Noam, my co-founder, and we had a very strong CSO. Both of them were at PhD. And they said, we think we can do it. And then we had we had a small co-founder that is one of the best radar professors in Israel. He was the head of the department in Tel Aviv University, Professor Tony Weiss. And we came to Tony and we showed him the solution. And he was looking at it and said, it might work.
So Israeli.
Yeah. Of course, he showed us the weakness and the problems that we will see down the road. And Noam and Yoram worked very hard for months on solving it in an algo. On the algo stuff before we started designing the chips. And then by the end of the day, we had a simulation showing that we are solving the problem. We started designing the chip. When you're designing a chip like that, you're doing it on an FPGA. And I think 2 or 3 years after we started, we had something that showed that it's working.
And then how hard was it to go to the market? Did you go back to the people that were had 50 people try to succeed and failed? What was that like?
So at the beginning, the go-to market was easy. So everybody wants to try it. But from passing the pre-development to take it to something that can actually go to production, this is a completely different ballgame, especially in automotive. 90% of the product takes you 5 years, and the rest of the 10 takes you another 5 years.
Right.
It's to take it from something that, it's more or less working. Sometimes it's doing a reset or, or sometimes there is a crash and you need to plug it out and plug it in. But it's showing the performance. You see the pedestrian in 250 meters near the guardrail and everything is cool. But in automotive, it needs to work 100%. It's not, there's no even single problem.
It's life or death.
Yeah, and take it to this level. This is a disaster.
Would you say you first had to solve the 90% first as like an engineering problem?
Yeah.
Once you solve the engineering problem, then it's just a matter of...
It's actually 90% is science problem. The 10% is an engineering.
Okay, got it. Right.
There
okay,
was
right. Sorry, once you make the technological breakthrough, then it's just an engineering problem.
It's really a science. It's I remember getting with the first prototype of our radar with antenna, 48 by 48 transmitters and receivers. And we got in Detroit in one of the big car manufacturers, and the radar guy looked on it and he said, wow, it's a piece of art. This 48 by 48 channels, it's a piece of art.
Beautiful.
It was like coming to see the Da Vinci in a museum. Or
you should open up your own museum.
Yeah, a radar museum.
Yes, radar museum of modern art.
Yeah,
I love it. So you guys, I was reading that you do 4D mapping. How many dimensions are there?
So there is the horizontal, the vertical, the depth, and the velocity. The velocity
is your fourth.
Is the fourth dimension, yeah.
And is that the hardest part to crack when it comes to radar?
No, the hardest part of imaging radar is the amount of data that is generated from this 4 dimension. So think of it, if it's a camera, you have X and Y. In radar, you have the depth. So it means that basically you have take the 2 dimension and you need to multiply by 1,000 because you have slices up to 300 meters, 350 when we need to detect.
And then 4D, you need to do that by another 10.
And this is another. So it's something like, it's teras of theoretical data. And basically our core IP, think of it as a compression machine, compression algorithm that basically takes all of this data and generate a point cloud that is 1 giga. It's still not, it's still something that you need to, NVIDIA to make from it driving decisions, but it's 1 giga and it's not teras of data.
You work with Nvidia, right? The one you're client?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's not client, it's a kind of partnership. Yeah.
How does that work? I mean, so you sell the semiconductors that have the capability to build the radar on top of it, and then they build it themselves.
The ones that build it themselves is tier ones. There is in automotive, there is a big 10 companies that sells the parts, any part of the car from
OEMs. You mean? The tier 1 OEMs?
The tier 1 are selling to the OEMs. It's companies like Magna, Continental. They might sell them the tires, they might sell them the mirrors, and they're also selling them the radars. So they take the chips and basically, I would say, industrialize it. They're to build a production line that can generate 10 million radars per year. Think of it, how many radars it's per minute. If it's 10 millions a year, it's crazy amount. So this is something that the tier 1s, and in tires, for example, we are talking about billions of tires per year.
Right.
So they have all of the know-how on how to industrialize it, how to build it in a price that, automotive is very sensitive to every cent, and to the standard of automotive. That the failures that allowed in automotive is one failure per, millions of units. It's something that it's level of quality that you really need a real German engineer to work on it for tens of years in order to achieve. So this is the radar. Nvidia and Qualcomm, they're supplying the central processor of the car, as well as part of the software stack for the autonomous driving, perception, and so on.
Before we continue, let me tell you about our partners, The Recruitery. The Recruitery places go-to-market talent for early and growth stage cybersecurity companies. The Recruitery specializes in recruiting and retaining top talent in global markets. If you're looking for a recruitment company to help your cybersecurity company close cultural gaps and find great talent on the ground that can help you scale, we recommend you also partnering with our partner, The Recruitery. And now, back to the show.
That's fascinating. That's fascinating. Do you think radar is going to change further? Do you think in the future with new technologies, you're going to have that a fifth dimension?
No, I don't think there is a need for fifth dimension. There is AI as everything is changing also radar. So I think that AI will help us improve the radar signal, as this is something that we are already doing, and we will implement it in our next generation of the chips. We will use AI in order to improve the picture of the radar, the point cloud of the radar. But I don't see the radar getting into a new dimension.
That makes sense. You obviously know a lot about tech. That's why you're here. But you also do investing too.
Yeah.
What is it about investing that interests you? I guess is it the looking into the tech? Is it the research itself? Is it getting to meet the people?
I think what is interesting me is to stay relevant. To stay on the front line of the technologies that are happening as we speak. I started investing, I don't know, more than 10 years ago. I had a mini fund called Taya Ventures. We started investing in companies that were around media. And then, it was 12 years ago. I thought that AI going to be big. So we added a pillar of AI. And we did very well. But the second half of the last decade for Israeli startups was crazy. 21, 22. It was a very good year for the Israeli high tech. And I think in the last 5 years, I'm focusing on AI, which, I liked AI since, more than 20 years ago. The first startup that I was working in was around trying to do NLP. Natural language processing. It was year 2000. And around, I would say it's not climb tech, because climb tech has today maybe a bad reputation, but I would say deep tech technologies that actually helping sustainability. So I'm investor in a company that is using AI in order to build fully recyclable packages for food, for groceries, and so on. Company that improving the battery, and a few others around deep tech. So it's deep tech and AI. Mm-hmm. And I think it's helping me, stay relevant.
There you go. So interesting. You're investing to make money, but also to stay relevant and learn about being on the cutting edge of technology. It's such a fascinating way. Because I'm not
making money by the end of the day, to be honest, making money, most of the funds are not doing better than the S&P 500 or the NASDAQ.
Right.
So I think it's more of there is some years that you see amazing returns and then
the next year.
I think the second funds that started around 2016, 2017, 2018 did better than the regular 8-9%, 10% a year of the stock market. But there is years that funds that started investing in 22 when the market was crazy, I think they will show their investors a very low IRR. And since I'm investing in some funds as well, I can tell you that it's all about the year that you're starting your fund, as opposed to an angel investor that, for me as an angel investor, in 22, I can just pass on every investment because I don't need to invest. So I'm not a fund. Right. I don't have this problem. Valuations are crazy. Okay, I'm not investing. I'll buy S&P 500.
Right,
it's good enough.
Right, but then you won't be up to date on all the new technology.
I agree. So this is really what I felt at that time.
If you want to stay up to date, there's this podcast, Israel Tech. You should. They talk about technology, so I definitely recommend that. What do you look for when you invest? I mean, you meeting the founders. I mean, it's early stage, so I'm assuming you really get to know the company, the technology, probably more intimately.
I'm looking for founders that I can really help them. It's two things. First of all, that they would like to listen and to get your advice, and second, that they will be in an area that I can really help. I can really help them scale up. I can really help them with connection. I have an experience that is relevant. I already passed something of the journey that they already did. So, for example, semiconductors, I can show the scarves. This is the two main things that I'm looking for.
Do you think semiconductors are going to change in the future?
I think semiconductors are going through something that it's definitely changing. So the fact that in the new nodes of the chips today, 3 nano, 2 nano, the cost of building a chip is becoming billions of dollars, billion or up. It's basically not helping startups bring innovation.
There is no economies of scale?
No, the problem is not the economy of scale. The problem is the fact that today, let's take, for example, the cost of a tape-out. Our chips are in 22 nanometer. The cost of a tape-out is around $2 million. The cost of the same tape-out in 3 nano is $20 million. Just the tape-out. The cost of the tools, the cost of the testing, everything, and of course the cost of the wafer. So you need much more capital to manage it. So it's very complicated right now for a new startup to develop something that will hit the big guys. Also, to develop in those processes, you need a very large team. And, tomorrow, if I want to start something that will compete with Nvidia or something, one of the big ones, you need hundreds of people. It's not just about money. It's about your ability to hire those and to take them.
And retain them.
Yeah. Their salaries are crazy.
Yeah, you see the poaching wars from the AI companies.
Yeah,
and Meta's like it was $250 million sign-on bonus, and Elon Musk just took a bunch, and then it's just a bunch of circle.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
Eventually,
yeah, but this is the problem that we are in a world of giants, and the giants are fighting each other, and this is not a good atmosphere for innovation and for startups.
How come? Why not? Don't you think the giants can help us reach efficiency better and faster? They can then help.
By the end of the day, I think they are monopoly. They're trying to.
They're not okay.
Yeah,
they're trying to box out everyone else. They want there to be 3, 4, 5 winners, and that's it.
Yeah, it's like
the social media platforms.
It's very companies that started with do no evil. Becoming very fast, very evil.
Yeah, well, be careful in the studios. I love Google. They're great.
Yeah,
I think there's two gods. There's a capital G and the lowercase g. There's a Shem and then there's a Google. They both know everything about you.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's sad. I wonder if there's a way to reverse that as an enterprise. I mean, it's hard, especially say competitive. I think we're seeing little changes of that in America. I think, where they would just follow the money no matter what and go to China and even give technology to the Communist Party, which is abusing human rights. You're seeing more people saying no to that. I know Meta never went to begin with. And other people starting to come back and reeling away from that. And I think there might be a core of we got a little too greedy in our profits, and we need to get back to values first. I don't think we're there. I think the pendulum's hit the end. I think we're coming back, but we're still out there.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm too optimistic. That could be possible. All right. It was interesting. You have a philosophy degree in physics. What does that mean?
So I started my university in the 90s. So I started to learn physics.
Where'd you learn?
In Tel Aviv University. So, but I always were more fascinated about the philosophy behind physics. So I learned the philosophy of science. And then I started my master. I didn't finish it. I didn't wrote it. So I finished the master, never wrote it, in Indian philosophy.
Indian philosophy.
Because I saw in Buddhism a kind of things that helps explaining the universe better than the regular logic of the Western world. So the Western world was based on a yes-no logic. And the quantum is not...
correct. I was actually going to say that.
No.
That's when I learned about philosophy. It was actually in college. I took a course. And just by watching something, you can't even measure anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the Buddhism has this complexity that it's not yes or no. There is a bit of this and a bit of this, and so this is something that is inherent in the Eastern philosophies, and this is what fascinated me about that.
Do you think there's a lack of spirituality in science? Like, do you think that it actually plays a greater role than us in the West are willing to recognize?
I think that if you go to the physicians that changed the world, Bohr, Einstein, they were all, of course, geniuses, physics, and they were also great in mathematics, but they had also something spiritual. And you're reading. I read Einstein papers about philosophy and so on, and it's fascinating. It's not.
He's an atheist who believe in God. It's in a way, right?
Yeah.
By the way, so is Ben Gurion, and of course they knew the Tanakh in and out. And I worry that not just historically, I think we lost something there. That there's like
I agree
that the Western civilization we went to is very binary, right? Like either there's no, binary might not be their word, but it's either religious or not religious, as opposed to there's the spiritual element component that can or cannot be connected to.
I think it's not just about spirituality. It's about the entire humanistic education. In the Renaissance, you were a science. You were also painting, and you were also reading, and you were also writing. And today,
now look at the liberal arts. Compare the liberal arts now of what it was. It's an embarrassment.
Yeah, but now if you're good in mathematics and you're focusing on physics, most of the time you can finish your university without knowing anything about humanistics.
It's the opposite. I find that you've been programmed with things programmed. You need to be deprogrammed.
Yeah.
When we hire for my marketing company, we put no college degree preferred.
Yeah.
I have to, whatever they learn in college isn't even relevant.
Yeah,
the way things are moving so fast. And then they expect to be compensated more.
Yeah.
to know things that are outdated. And I have to re-educate them. So would you say that Western civilization, do you think science can help us find our way back to the good kinds of liberal arts or spirituality in that sense? Because I feel like
I think
people are starting to say that like we have to, like there is no way. Human nature is itching for it.
I think that something else that you didn't know about me is that I wrote a short stories book.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, I
for
published
kids?
it. No.
Oh, okay.
I published it in 20 years ago in Yediot Achronot Publishing. So I had an editor, Ariana Melamed. She edited my book, and I remember her saying that philosophy is something that only white rich men can afford it, because they have enough spare time to deal with philosophy.
Interesting. I think the opposite.
I think
you start to philosophize about you free spot. I don't know what.
No, this was right in the past. So in the past, Virginia Woolf wrote that you need a room for yourself and
a table, a chair, and a violin.
Exactly. This is basically, in a way, it's saying that you don't need to take care of your day-to-day. And I think what is going now with the AI, that basically making a majority of the work not needed will bring back the spare time to human beings. And from the other end, I think there will be a prosperity that will allow human beings to get back to think about why we are here, what we are doing here, what is good and what is right, in a more complicated way than the social networks are doing.
Well, I sure hope so. Do you think we'll see people have more children when they have more free time to maybe do things that are more meaningful and things they can enjoy?
Good question. I think it's interesting. I think in a way, I think that right now the humanity is going in another direction. You see,
right? But I'm wondering if it can turn around.
It's
a lot
not
of things
just
turn around.
about. I don't think it's just
because how will we spend it if we're going with the assumption that we'll find ourselves having, let's say, more free time.
More free time.
Okay.
This is for clear, even today, I think.
Yeah, but I think what's going to happen is a lot of people I don't know if that's totally true. A lot of time will be freed up, but I think we'll then find maybe other ways to be productive in work or other things to do, potentially. I don't know. It could also totally be not, that we'll find
Yeah.
ourselves not.
They will do wars in their spare time.
Right. Would you say
Or drugs.
Or drugs or war. Yeah.
War- war or drugs.
We don't need AI for that.
Yeah, we have enough of those.
We have a lot of war and drugs.
Yeah.
So, maybe not. I don't know. So just wondering what that means. It could be people are just going to pursue more pleasure and less meaning. Drugs, let's say, bad pleasure. Or might people say more meaning, children or spirituality. And instead of maybe looking for that cheap dopamine after hard day work, I don't know what it's going to look like. It could go, and then or could split. Some people might get depressed with not enough meaning.
Yeah.
Some people may double down on spirituality or faith, their family and community, and find more meaning and have a thriving life.
I agree. I don't know where it's going, but I think it's clear that we will have more spare time. So majority of the work that we are doing today won't be needed in 10 years, in 5 or 10 years.
Yeah, I know, I agree with that, but there will probably be new work. Let's bring the philosophy back. I'm enjoying the philosophy conversation, but let's bring actually back to tech and culture, but about philosophy. Do you think, like we were talking about, the great scientists or even founding fathers of Israel and even America, very philosophical. Do you think the tech ecosystem is more or less philosophical than the rest of the population? What trend do you think is going when it comes to actually thinking about why we're here? What's the purpose of life? What's the meaning of relationships? The spiritual and philosophical aspects of life? Because I worry the more we get into tech, the more we might get further away.
I feel the same. I feel that the more you're getting to tech, you're getting far away from those questions. I think this is what also explaining the situation now in Israel, that that the high tech scene is raising money, continue to do or anything, and
the social cohesion is real.
Yeah, it's like there is something that is not connected.
Right.
With the Israeli high tech industry. Sometimes it's sad.
No, I know. I see that. I feel that.
I cannot get into those parties.
The snob parties,
the high tech scene parties and so on. So in my company there was no in Arbe there was no culture of those extravagant parties. Even in the end of the last decade when it was popular, and of course after we went public and so on. But so I never was. I never felt part of these partying things in high tech. It's just a work,
right.
Doing that. I think the teacher that is teaching my daughter in elementary school is doing something that is more important than half of the Israeli startups. So I was never attached to that, but especially today, in the last 2 or 3 years. The scene that is celebrating, I feel very. I'm trying to avoid all of those events.
Is it elitism? Do you think they're better? Do you think that they believe, maybe not consciously, but that they're better than others that aren't? Because it's always very common. The biggest wars and revolutions has always been often have been class revolution.
Yeah, I'm outsider for this industry. I'm journalist.
Right.
I was not in 2000.
Yeah.
And not in 8100 or whatever.
I wasn't even in the army.
Yeah. So I think there is the kind of the Israeli entrepreneurs, they think themselves as better than others.
Do you think they're God?
Do I think they think?
Is it that they have like what they call a God complex?
It's of course it's on the spectrum. There is
there is always
there is also very shy people and very and other, but in general I think this is also what helps the Israeli entrepreneurs get into the office in the States and saying, yeah, I have the best technology in the world, the best product, and when you're switching it on, it's not working.
Right.
But this is what also helps the Israeli high-tech scene go to the heights.
The arrogance is important in a way.
It's important because you fake it until you make it. But I think something deep inside, when you're getting... before you're getting to sleep and you're looking in the mirror, you need to remember the only thing that made you a successful entrepreneur is luck. Nothing else than that. It's just luck.
Or God or whatever, We take away, that was talking about the God complex where everyone thinks that, I own it,
it's
I'm
not
awesome,
you,
I'm better.
It's a luck.
Right, exactly. It's that. I would say that. They would say Parnassa is Mishamai. your income
exactly.
from the heavens.
Mazal.
Yeah, Mazal. I also see from also in venture capital too. A lot of that also.
Yeah, the venture capitals.
But
they all think that it's them.
I wouldn't say it's all, but I've interviewed many of them. There are a lot of great people. But when I speak to them in general, not just like when you even like when I speak to, would you like to come on? I think they're interested in following interesting technology. There's like there's two. There's like kind of down to earth. They relate to the regular people, maybe the younger founders.
Yeah.
They didn't come from it. And then there's some that think they're better than you should see some messages. I'm thinking maybe one day I'll blur out the names of and their names. People, right? I'll show you after if you want to. And you would think they say things like it's such projection about themselves sometimes too, and it's very sad. I just wonder what it's like to partner with these kind of people. But I think it's something interesting about the end of the day when they go to bed. Like they don't probably have. I'm changing your words a little bit, but they don't have probably as much fulfillment and happiness without the lack of understanding that you've been blessed. Or you've been lucky, or there's a deeper connection here and all that. At the end of the day, don't take anything to the grave. That's what really people don't understand.
Yeah.
So is this what you think about when you do yoga? You were telling me you do yoga.
Yeah. So I actually started doing yoga because of two things. First of all, I was my back was hurt. It was almost 25 years ago. And second, because of the Indian philosophy, I needed to do meditation to understand what this Buddhism is talking about. And it was very hard to me to sit. Like that in the meditation. So I started doing yoga more than 25 years ago, and I think I never stopped.
Wow. Amazing.
Yeah.
I remember I did yoga a couple times, and I thought it was a joke. That doesn't rate it. And then my friend
it takes time.
Yeah, he went, and I was like, okay, now I understand it. It doesn't work out. And I'm not coming back.
Yeah. my first teacher, when it was, he said, never mind, after the 10 years, it would be better. Mm-hmm. After 15 years, it takes time. It takes time.
I want to ask you, before we sum up, I want to go back to semiconductors. What do you think about Israel's semiconductor industry ecosystem? What do you think there is here? Is it going to be a much, much bigger part in general in tech globally?
So we're already a big part of it, the problem, and I think our luck is that the fact that Nvidia bought Mellanox and they built here in Israel one of the largest R&D centers in the world. It's making Israel, I think, after US, the top semiconductor country in the world from one end. From the other end, the fact that Nvidia is here, they're taking all of the talent.
They're sucking all the talent, right?
And a crazy salaries. It's, but I think by the end of the day, after people, we're still in the early stage of this wave because they bought Mellanox, I don't know.
2017.
Yeah, four, something, not 10 years ago. I think people will make money, will get out of it, and they will do things that are really big. We already start seeing it. So Mellanox doing very amazing things around semis. And I think, yes, Israel semis, AI, quantum, those are the cyber, of course, but those are the pillars that Israel should be the leader, and I hope we will be able to maintain our leadership in those areas.
Amen. That's something unique about Israelis I see is that they'll make their money, let's say even founders, they get their first exit, or they go work in Nvidia, get an insane amount of money, and they're like, you know what, I made my money, I'm good. I may not have to work again, possibly for my life. Let me now go and build something greater. This is a bigger purpose and calling.
This is why I started Arbe. So I came to Arbe after I was in a company called Taptica. Now I was a founder, and it's called now Nexen. So I wanted to do something that will be meaningful, to change the way, I was saying that when I started Arbe, my older son at that time was very young, and I told him, Tom, when you will be 18, you won't need to drive. Because it will be autonomous driving. After 2 or 3 years, I said my middle son, that is now 15, by the way, when you will be 18, you won't need to drive. Now I'm telling my younger daughter that is 10 years, maybe, I'm not sure, but maybe for you it will work.
Yeah, you might be right. I think we're probably maybe about 10 years out, and then I think we're going to have full self-driving cars. I would love to do more about philosophy and tech. I think that's a great podcast idea for you if you want to do a series. I listened. I had a lot of fun. Kobi, thank you. It's lovely catching up what you're doing over with semiconductors and radar. and your worldview. I think it's really fascinating. I'm really happy I got to unpack that. Thanks so much for being on Israel Tech.
Thank you. I really enjoyed it.
Me too. Thanks, buddy.